black deluxe houndstooth interior.
The black houndstooth interior.
It was all the carburation, all that stuff is original stuff. It's not the reproduction.
Yeah, Buddy wants you to know that everything on that car is original. It's not reproduction. The carb setup and everything.
And that, of course, significant to know. And those JL8 brakes we were talking about, John, incredibly desirable. And I mentioned this yesterday. Go try to find them. They're out there somewhere, but they're going to cost you a pretty penny just for the brake setup.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right, Scott. But when they're factory installed and you've got documentation to back it up, that's what adds the value to these cars.
And the reserve comes off at 115K. Sold the Camaro to a very happy young man for $115,000. That is so cool. So we will take a break. More of this Buddy Herin collection coming back, including that red ZL1 from 1969 on a Camaro, and also a Z16 coming up. Stick around. We are back live in Dallas. Our first hour is just about complete, and it has already been a record-breaking hour with that Corvette L88 from '67, gaveling for $3.2 million. Jump in on the conversation on Twitter. There you can follow us at those handles. You can also hashtag Meekum to join in the conversation. And if you want to get even more about the program on Velocity, easy to do that at thevelocity.com. You can find it all right there. This Corvette Big Break Fuelie from 1962 just sold for $150,000, JK.
Wow, one of the nicest 62 Corvettes on the planet, Scott. 4,901 original documented miles. It's won every award you can get. It's got every option except big tank, the fuel tank, and power windows. Wow. All
right, here we go with another one of our heavy hitters. Again, this car would love to be the main attraction at any other auction, and if it weren't for that L88, it might be. 200 grand already on the ZL1 all aluminum red 69 Camaro, JK.
Yeah, take a look at that engine, guys. When you say all aluminum, we're not kidding. Aluminum intake manifold, aluminum heads, and aluminum block. Shares very much the same architecture internally as the famed L88, except the L88 did have a cast iron block. The ZL1 went up a notch, all aluminum. 69 of these were built, and this one is sequence number 62 in 1969. $500,000 right now.
How off the chart was that all aluminum ZL1 when it hit the street in '69?
Really primarily intended for NHRA drag racing use, although I'm sure some people did operate them on the street, but I think the bulk of these cars, Bill, saw drag racing duty in the early days.
Exactly right. Even though, Chevy for a long time instituted a racing ban, if you will. Some of the most outrageous high-performance engines and go-fast parts came from General Motors during the 1960s, and the ZL1, I would have to tell you, would be the cream of the crop in terms of big block engines for anybody going to the quarter mile back then.
That was part of the thinking behind the L88 at the time, too, by Zora Argus Duntov. He thought, we got to find a way around this, so they're out there putting out almost 600 horsepower 427s. They're rating them at 430, so you're right, they had to cover up everything they did.
Stock ZL1s were hitting almost 550 on the dyno back in the day. They weighed about the same as a stock 350 small block. That's incredible.
Thanks to aluminum, you bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool thing about this one, sold to a guy named Johnny Tripp in July of 1969 on his birthday. Happy birthday, Johnny Tripp. $530,000 later, it's in the books here in Dallas. And we move on to a 1970 Chevelle SS 454 big block, John.
360 horse. That's the LS5. 4-speed transmission. Lots of options on this. Air conditioning. Hence you think, well, why doesn't it have the LS6 in it? Why didn't they check that option box? Could not get air conditioning with the LS6 450 horse. So if you wanted the fastest, toughest big block Chevelle, but you wanted to be cool, stay cool while doing it, you got that 360 horse 454, relatively mild trim, hydraulic cam, Small oval-shaped intake ports, lots of low-end torque, but still got a nice high-end pull at the same time.
$60,000 here.
I'm yummy danced out. I think I blew out my ACL just now.
We're only an hour in, man.
I got nothing left.
Yeah, we'll put you on injured reserve.
You might
Hang
have
in
to.
there.
Trainer, can we get a trainer over here, please? Medic. We'll get you fixed up.
Oh, great.
Good luck to you, man.
I'm just looking at the next car. I'm going to have to.
Oh, yeah.
Gonna have to dig deep, man. Gonna have to dig deep.
Play hurt.
Yeah.
And Mark Delzell says the reserve is off here, John.
Wow, that's fat money, huh? Cornella's 5.
High option, factory air, 4-speed, gray color. I don't think it's too far off the mark. I think this car, the quality of the car, it's a lot of money for an LS5.
Yeah.
But if one was going to bring it, it would be this one.
Right. I'd say that's convertible money most of the time, but
Yeah, good point.
it's worth it.
That's
for sure.
post L88 money. That's what that is.
Yeah, good point.
It's flowing like a river here now, Scott.
Yeah, it is. 72.5 for that. And we will see what happens to the car that Bill was talking about just a second ago next, because it is the first of 2 Chevelle Z16s that we're going to see today. One of only 3 known to exist factory black Z16, John.
This is a car that very few casual muscle car enthusiasts even know about. Hardcore guys do. Chevy needed to say, we need more power. So what they did to compete with the GTO and the other muscle cars that were starting to come out. So in 65, they took their 396, they rated at 375 horsepower. They backed it up with a 4-speed transmission only. Came out late in the production year. Called it the Z16, and it's a legend today. $175,000, no surprise at all. Normally we see these in red. In fact, the other one we've got coming up later is red.
Yeah.
And it really looks great in black. By the way, those hubcaps and those gold stripe tires would have been correct and authentic back in 1965.
I love this car so much, I'm going to let those hubcaps go. Those are those hubcaps that I feel are just not very beautiful. But on this car, I'm okay.
I like them.
I know. Boy, you're right. Black, huh? Black on black?
Yeah.
Super.
$200,000 for the first of a couple of Z16s across the block here. And that one is on to a new collection today. And our final vehicle in the Buddy Herin collection today is this one, a 1965 Pontiac GTO convertible. Of course, the second year for the GTO.
Out of the 11 cars that we've seen here today for the Buddy Herin collection, I believe this is the only non-Chevrolet, but it's still within the GM family. 389 tri-power, that's 360 horsepower, 389 cubic inches, 3 Rochester 2-barrel carburetors. It's got air conditioning, a 355 Posi, and hey, check this out. It's been upgraded to a 5-speed manual transmission, replacing the original 4-speed. I like that.
Saw a couple of Chevys with, or rather Pontiacs, with the Night Watch Blue, and I saw them at a car show that was held around Thanksgiving, and it was a very dreary, cloudy day a year and a half ago. And the Night Watch Blue just kind of disappeared. It's a sunlight color. You get it out under the lights like we have right here, and it just pops. It just comes to life, and I think it's especially beautiful with that parchment interior.
Yep.
Wheel and tire combination is classic and considered top of line in 65. Red line tires and those aftermarket Hurst wheels that came out aftermarket in 1965 as well.
75 grand, and it is sold. And that is my blue. Oh, you're right, Stephen. Under the lights, that certainly does light up. And you hear the applause in the background, and thank you, Buddy Herin and his wife Nova there, just to his left. What a fantastic collection of cars, and the lifetime of car collecting he has brought with him today. And boy, I tell you what, everybody who's in the building and watching on television has been a great benefactor just to be able to see these cars and glimpse a little bit of history, John.
His foresight and vision, guys, is what allowed us to enjoy 11 of the best muscle cars on the world right in a row.
Get one of them signs and send it to you.
Well done, Buddy Herin.
Go get
Public address.
I'd like to make a quick announcement. The Herin family has been very generous, and they're making some donations. They're donating $10,000 to the CC Metro Ministries, $20,000 to the Progeria Research Foundation, $50,000 for Clarity Child Guidance Center in San Antonio, and $20,000 for Triumph Over Kids Cancer. I'm very, very thankful for Buddy and Nova. It's a wonderful thing. That's something we should all think of when you have a good day. Give back a little bit. I'm very, very proud to have met Buddy and Nova. They're great people.
Thank you very much. That's right.
Once again, a standing ovation for the crowd here in Dallas.
It was up in Illinois, and I knew it was a real valuable car. I mean, this was a long, long time ago. So I spent 6 months trying to get the guy to sell it to me.
And we're going to ratchet it up. My goodness, we're going to hit it. We're over $1 million, and we haven't even gotten it on the screen yet. We're This 2013 is racing toward the finish line, and on this. Hoping that it would sell because of what you just said. What is that effect going to have on the rest of the world?
So he had not got to even put very many hours in it after working on it for like 3 years. So that's kind of a bittersweet situation, but you know what? As far as I'm concerned, he was flying that plane today.
Auction energy is in the air. Meekum has brought quantity. Try over 1,400 vehicles. Meekum has promised quality. The best of the best are here. Summer is winding down, but the dealing in Dallas is still smoking hot. Hundreds of amazing collector vehicles gathered under one roof all for the taking if the money is right.
You know you want to bet.
When the hammer drops.
It's half price.
The Dealmaker and Company are ready to make your wildest driving dreams come true here in the Lone Star State. Welcome to Mika Muscle Cars and More, live from Dallas, Texas.
Hey, 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 hey! Oh, put it in the bank! 185. Bring it over here!
Meekum Dallas 2013 is racing toward the finish line. And on this fourth and final day, the anticipation and the energy in this building is remarkable. For true world-class muscle cars, yes, but also for one car in particular. We've mentioned it all week long, and now we're going to see it cross the auction block today, and very soon, in fact, on Mika Muscle Cars and More, live on Velocity. Well, hi again, everybody. I'm Scott Hoke with John Craman here, Bill Stevens, Stephen Cox as well, and the car that I'm speaking of, you just saw briefly, one of the holy grails of not just the collector car world, not just the Corvette world, but the collector car world in general. One of 20 1967 Corvette L88. It's a convertible. We're going to see it cross here shortly. Bill's going to have more on it in a moment. It's the headline car here, without a doubt. Couple of heavy hitters in our lineup today, and as we promised, now let's go to Bill Stevens, who has more on the car of this auction. Bill.
Let's start at the end. When the Corvette we're about to show you crosses the block in about an hour or so. Pre-auction estimates peg this car possibly at selling in the neighborhood of $3 million. Yeah, we've talked about it this week. This is the 1967 L88 Corvette from the Buddy Herin collection, one of 11 cars we'll see crossing the block, but this is indeed the star car. There you see the king of the world, the 1967 Corvette L88 427 engine that makes this car so remarkable. This car has raced quite a bit in its early life, in the Pacific Northwest quite a bit, but it also won the A Sports category at the 1967 U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis. That is the biggest drag race in the world. The car has been returned to street configuration through a fabulous restoration by the Neighbors brothers down here in Texas, and there are some things about this car that really stand out. I mean, the bolt-on wheels, the red striped tires, and the side exhaust are cool, but this Marlboro maroon paint, let me tell you about this. This paint job is so exacting to factory standards. Buddy Herin insisted that this Marlboro maroon be right on the money. It is so much so that the National Corvette Restorer Society uses this car, this paint job, to judge other 67 Marlboro maroon Corvettes for accuracy. As I said, in about an hour, this will be crossing the auction block here in Dallas. Let's go.
On Velocity, stand by. Coming up, the Holy Grail, the L88 from 1967 on the way. Stay with us.
Getting ready for my yummy dance.
We are back in Dallas here on Velocity as we continue with our Saturday, our final day here in Dallas. The Buddy Herin collection is underway. This collection that contains our prime time cars and the big car of the auction, which is coming up shortly. 1957 Bel Air Fuelie convertible high option car, multiple award-winning car. This is the first one of this collection. John, what a way to start.
Scott, if you don't bring at least $100,000 to the table to buy one of the next 11 cars out of the Buddy Herin collection, you are not even going to be in the ballpark. 250 horsepower, 283.
Look at the restoration on this. Oh, my.
Power glide, automatic transmission, and listen to all the factory options. Power steering, power brakes, power windows, power seat. Combine that with the color combination, and that's why we're looking at six-figure plus.
You know, we're in real danger of glazing over because every single car from these collections is just stupid good.
We were talking about at the beginning of the show. Every one of these cars would love to be the star car at any Mega
auction anywhere.
Absolutely.
So you really got to kind of make it a point to try to appreciate each one.
All original body panels, by the way, on this one. And
You sure that's not all Bondo?
all original body panels.
Cut out your tongue.
$135,000 in the books here in Dallas. Next up, one of only 43 airbox Corvettes produced in 1957. Bill previewed this one for us a couple days ago. The airbox fed the cold air to the engine and to the brakes in this particular car, JK.
It sure did, Scott, and that was big news because this was the era where the Corvette was really starting to get serious in the racing game, and boy, it sure did work. 283 cubic inch, 283 horsepower, Rochester fuel-injected 4-speed manual tranny. This one now got 411 gears in it, guys, but right out of the box it had 456s, Wonderbar radio, column-mounted tack. Check that out.
It's amazing that these are still around, these airbox cars, because for a long time they're just old race cars that nobody wanted. And only 43 of them with the airbox feature makes them just phenomenally rare.
And we're also well in excess of that six-figure mark, pushing 300 grand here now. Mark Delso asking for 300. Going to sell no matter what.
You know, you really got to give the credit to Buddy Herin for having the foresight many, many years ago to identify what cars are really going to be significant, and he nailed it. These 11 are probably some of, if not the best examples in existence. What a treat.
And, you know, a lot of times we see cars of this level bought and sold periodically. These cars have been in his collection for something in the order of 20 years or more.
Right.
So he's really hung on to them. And I think really, honestly, kind of sat back and enjoyed watching where the comparable values of these cars are going.
He bought them at the right time.
Yeah, no question. $290,000. That is our #1 car, and how long it stays there? Well, not very long. We anticipate $290,000 for that airbox Corvette from 1957. We're a couple of cars away from the granddaddy of them all, the 1967 Corvette L88. Significant racing history, mainly in the northwestern part of the U.S., but also won the A Sports NHRA Championship in 1967 in Indianapolis. And it is coming up, one of only 20 L88s from 1967. 2 cars behind the one that is on the block right now, which is no slouch by itself. It's a 1967 Camaro RS SS convertible, 396 power.
This is the hot one, guys. In 1967, if you wanted the fastest Camaro out of its debut year, this is what you got. L78, 375 horsepower, 396, 4-speed manual transmission, power brakes, console gauges, butternut yellow, rally wheels with the red line tires, deluxe interior upgrade. This is as good as it gets for an SS convertible in 1967. I can't think of anything I would change on this car at all, Bill. Perfect.
Unbelievable. Color, powertrain, red line tires, rally wheels, just hits every button.
You could change the license plate from a Texas plate to your home state, JK.
Well, I'll tell you, at sub $60,000 buy, I'm really surprised on this one.
Yeah.
Really surprised.
$60 grand. Had a question on Twitter yesterday, I think, about the RSSS configuration, and certainly Rally Sport and Super Sport. The Rally Sport, more of a cosmetic package. The Super Sport performance package on the other end of the spectrum. And you could have them both together, as this one is. Selling for $62,000. Logan Schmidt, all smiles, everybody with a thumbs up, as well they should.
I'm a little surprised on that one. 62,000, 375, 396, impeccable restoration.
Well, you know.
Oh, you caught me napping on that one.
People may be just tucking a little money aside for some of these other cars that are about to cross. Who knows?
Well, here's one to keep your eyes on. 1970 Chevelle LS6 convertible, solid lifters, Holley 4-barrel carb, aluminum dual-plane intake manifold, documented and verified as an LS6.
Going to go off the scale. LS documented LS6 Chevelle convertibles, $200,000 all day long, and I'm not going to be surprised if we'll be knocking on that door real soon. This was the top dog in the muscle car wars. At 450 horsepower, 454 LS6 was in fact the highest rated engine to come out of that golden era of performance that really kind of started winding down in 1971, and a few years after that it was over. But in 1970, this was the hot Chevelle to have.
4-speed and a convertible.
And a good color.
You know, we had a couple of these. We had a couple of these yesterday, JK. We talked about them off the air. These LS, some of them were believed to be LS6s, and there's a fair chance that they could have been. But rock solid documentation is what makes the difference between a $30, $40, $50, $60,000 car and one for $240.
You're exactly right, Scott. And it may surprise viewers that there's no way to document these cars unless you've got original paperwork.
Right.
The trim tag and the vehicle serial number, the VIN, will not provide any of that information. It's pretty bizarre, but true.
There's one that's coming up a bit later on, and the seller's straight up front about it and says, you know what, I don't have the protector plate, I don't have the build sheet, but we think it's an LS6.
Yeah, my brother-in-law can get them paperwork if they need it.
Yep. 275 now as the L88 rolls into position. You can hear it in the background, and this LS6 sells for $275,000, our number 2 car for the moment, and perhaps about to be bumped to the 3rd spot in the next 5 to 10 minutes or less because of the car that you see on your screen. The 1967 Corvette L88. We've shown it to you, talked about it all weekend long. Maybe the only 67 L88 that still has its original body panels, and that's remarkable for a car that was raced and raced well. And at the wheel of this car is the owner of this car in the collection, Buddy Herin and his wife Nova, alongside as we begin the bidding here, guys. And we're going to ratchet it up. My goodness, are we going to hit it? We're over $1 million, and we haven't even gotten it on the screen yet. We're at $2 million.
Wow. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Should have bought one of these.
We got $2,250,000 right here. You got to be $2,500,000. $2,500,000. $2,500,000.
We got 2.5 now. Reserves off, guys. Gonna sell this car. Way to go to bid from the telephone.
Bittersweet, right? Come on, sit here. Sack of that.
3,100,000, 3,200,000. Anybody else? 3,200,000. 3,000,001, 3,000,002, 3,000,001, 3,000,002, 1,222, 3,000,001, 3,000,002. Now it's your turn again. 3,000,002, 3,000,002, 115,02.
Go! Now he's got 3.15 and now 3.2 in the house. Remember I talked yesterday about you can tell how much a guy wants a car by how quickly he will jump on the bid after another bid's been put out there.
I believe we are witnessing a record sale price of a Corvette at auction of all time.
I'm just doing my yummy dance. That's all I can do right now. I'm speechless.
3,003,1 twice. Last and final call. 3,002, 3,003, 3,003, 3,003, 3,002, 3, yes or no, 3,003, 3,002, now 3, 4, now 2, now 3, now 3, now 2, now 3, now 2, now 3. Anybody else? Third and final call. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas, make some noise. Sold!
That's how it's done, Beacom style.
$3.2 million and a standing ovation on a world record price for a Corvette at auction.
That's right, one of 206 Camaros equipped this way. And does have the
$3.2 million. Oh my good, I've still got goosebumps.
Oh yeah.
You still doing your yummy dance?
I can't stop. I'm out of control. And you know what? That could have a ripple effect in the L88 market.
You know, you're exactly right. And I talked with a guy who has an L88, a couple of other Corvettes too, and he said he was watching this car very closely,
Yep.
hoping that it would sell because of what you just said. What is that effect going to have on the rest of the Corvettes? And look at the line of people escorting that off the auction block. I don't think we've ever seen a line like that, guys.
Well, deservedly so. They know they're looking at a very historical Corvette.
This Dallas Convention Center has 1 million square feet of convention space, and it's jammed with cars and people today. Awesome.
Well, when that car turned the corner, we couldn't even see it anymore. My goodness, 3.2 million. I don't even need to tell you that's our #1 car of the day. Next car up, just a $75,000 bid on a '69 RSC 28.
Yeah, bring in the sandwich meat now. All right.
Impeccably restored. Look how beautiful that cross ramp dual quad intake manifold looks. It's got headers added onto it. Bone stock presentation under the hood. Love that low profile cross ramp air cleaner as well with the chrome lid. It's a car that Bill showed us yesterday. Black car with the houndstooth with the RS package, which is an appearance package. Very extremely high option car, but the big news, JL8 factory installed 4-wheel disc brake option. Turns this from a $50,000 car to a 6-figure car every time.
Yeah.
Was either the tuxedo black or that beautiful yellow that they had in '69 on these C28s that just knocked them out of the park. One of those two, and it's hard to beat this one.
We had a beautiful look at that deluxe interior. Includes the houndstooth inserts and that beautiful wood grain on the dashboard.
Pushing 300 horsepower.
Up to 110, or now 115.
You know if that had the rosewood steering wheel too?
It does. I can see it from here. It
Yeah,
does.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this car is a JL8. It's got the dual carb setup. It's got the rear sway bar. It's very, very, what else is on it, buddy?
Dana Meekum going back there.
It's got the